The Oracle Network.
Welcome to Brew Crime. I'm Mike, and my co-presenter today is...
I'm CJ. I'm from Beyond the Rainbow, True Crimes of the LGBTQ+.
Perfect. And then our guest co-host today...
I'm a listener and a commenter today.
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm JT. I'm the narrator for Active Shooter. And whatever else happens as we go along with this life.
There's always something, right?
Yes.
And
always.
most importantly, you're our buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
I am. It's the best part of this whole thing.
Yay!
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. So today's theme is Ontario crimes. So the province of Ontario in Canada. I've been kind of wanting for a while now to do episodes that are themed just off of certain provinces or territories. So we're starting with Ontario. I think me and JT had kind of toyed with the idea of a BC crimes one in the future. And we'll probably keep doing this if people like it. So let me know.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify. It's Ontario, not Ontario.
It's Ontario, yes.
Okay. I just want to get... I assumed you knew.
Oh, yes, yes.
I just wanted to clarify for myself mostly.
I'm pretty sure you actually live the closest to Ontario, so...
Maybe. I don't know. I've never done the math. Hold on. So Niagara Falls is 8.5 hours away.
Toronto to Niagara Falls is an hour and 15 minutes.
Hour and 50. So about 9 hours and 15 minutes.
And then from Toronto to Vancouver, currently 41 hours drive.
You know, I wish I shouldn't be surprised having driven across the country. However, every time you just look at a map and you're like, it's this far. It's just this far.
Yep, 41 hours.
It'd be a heck of a pretty 41 hours, though.
Yeah, it would be for sure. And then I don't have a beer pairing today because I dropped the ball, and the couple liquor stores I went to today, I was trying to find like an Ontario beer. No one was selling them. So I'm just having a beer that I had in the fridge from Barn Owl Brewing in Kelowna. Don't give a hoot, pale ale.
I paired my two. They're hazy IPAs, and they're hazy because I have no idea what we're talking about.
Nice. And they're from Sierra Nevada, aren't they?
So cloud-sourced hazy juicy IPA is from Two Roads.
Nice.
And then the Little Thing hazy IPA is from Sierra Nevada. Yes. And they are good so far.
What about you, CJ? You said something there.
I have Wild Little Thing from Sierra Nevada. Slightly sour ale.
Perfect.
It's guava, hibiscus, and strawberry.
That sounds awesome.
I think it will pair with my case pretty darn good.
Nice.
Wild Little Thing.
All right. Well, I guess I will go first. So mine is out of Ottawa, Ontario. I don't really have a title for this one, so I'll just go right into it. Camille Joseph Cleroux was born in Ottawa, Ontario in 1954, but I cannot pin down a date for this three-time loser, but we know at least 54.
Hat trick.
Yes.
He's a hat trick loser.
Not a lot of information seems to be known about Camille's young life, from his parents' names to what he was like as a kid. It's pretty hazy, sort of like your beer there, JT.
Hey-o.
We do know that he was supposedly had a good upbringing from a quote from his sister and had 5 brothers and 1 sister. His sister did say that he left the house when he was just 18 years old and didn't stay in touch. So there might have been kind of an issue in the family. I don't know if it was his upbringing or if he just didn't get along with his parents. I'm not sure. And then it's also 50s, so maybe that was normal.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay out past 9:30.
You rebel.
Yeah, well, Get off my lawn.
So this is to the point that his sister says the following. I don't know much about my brother, and that was in 2010. So, yeah.
That's a real deep insight.
Wow. Wow.
But also,
That was it?
that's all she could say. Yeah, they still lived in the same area and they had no contact.
Huh. That's kind of sad.
Yeah, in reality, it is. For some reason, it's just like the quote is so to the point.
Yep.
You know, it just
Maybe she was just being nice and he's just a dick to her.
Well,
Yeah.
he's not a nice man.
Mama always said, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say it at all. So
True.
I didn't say it at all.
So we do know that he met Lise Roy and married her on July 4th, 1987. Lise was 27 years old when they married and had been married once before. She had a young daughter from a previous marriage, and the two would end up having a son together. I wish I had more information on Lise Roy, but there was very little reported on her personally, other than she had dark hair. And there was some pictures, but just the wedding pictures, and that's about it.
Was it primarily a marriage of convenience, Mike? I know we've talked about that before.
It could have been, and you'll see why it could have been in a little bit here, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
It didn't end well.
I'm gonna go with probably.
Yeah.
I don't know, but my gut says maybe.
Yeah. They would move into an apartment in Ottawa. They were said to have a happy marriage and everything seemed fine, but it didn't stay fine. Unfortunately, it would turn out that Camille had an appetite for young girls, and he had started to molest the 10-year-old daughter of Lise.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah. She would approach Camille about it, and a huge verbal altercation would break out in their backyard. Less horrible people would have this fight end at some point, but Camille is not a less horrible person, as you would guess. Unfortunately for Lise, he would pick up a large rock and repeatedly smash it into her head, killing her.
Oh my gosh.
So she confronted him about what was going on.
Yes, the molestation of her daughter, yes.
And his argument was, no.
Yep.
Or
Basically, it sounds like it, yeah.
okay. I'm glad I don't understand. I'm glad I don't understand.
Yes. Now, that's why it could be a marriage of convenience, because she had a young daughter.
So she you might have said this. She already had the
the daughter was from the last marriage, and they had a son together.
Man.
Yeah. Now, this is not where he would stop, as he would cut her body up into a bunch of pieces and wrap her pieces in butcher's paper.
Oh.
He
He didn't
seems
try
to
to sell it, did he?
No,
Oh,
Oh,
good.
Sweeney Todd moment.
no doubt. He seems to have had access to the butcher's paper, as he was a longtime dishwasher in a restaurant, so he could have just stolen it from the kitchen there.
Just a big old roll of butcher paper is not light by any stretch.
No,
You
it's
carry a
not.
big roll out. It's just like, I'm gonna go wrap up my couch.
Yeah,
It's for my couch.
yeah.
I don't know what you'd wrap.
I wouldn't think it would contain the odor of anything that was decomposing.
It wasn't for long term.
No.
So that's just my guess, though, on where he got it from, because otherwise it would look pretty bloody suspicious purchasing a human's body worth of butcher's paper. I mean,
You just walk into like a restaurant shop or what, the places that sell like restaurant materials. You're just like, I need butcher paper. How much? Human body's worth.
Yep.
That would be suspicious, Mike.
Yes, it would.
That would
Just
not
a
go
little
well.
bit.
So after he was done that, he would put all the pieces into garbage bags. Now, of course, he needed a place to get rid of the body, and he had a plan. This plan included putting all of those bags into some kind of cart so he could haul them to a local park.
Did you say cart?
Yes. Yes.
Like
Did
a
you say
Red Rider
park?
wagon?
I don't know. It was either something seemed like it was like a wagon like that. It could have been a shopping cart. It kind of varied in different articles. So I didn't want to just pick one. I just said a cart.
In a park.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You picked a criminal that I would have covered in the past.
Yeah.
We're gonna go with that and continue on with this story.
Yeah. He would dig a grave and place her remains in a hole and bury them. Crazily, some of his neighbors saw him transporting the body, but knew him as a weird, eccentric neighbor and thought nothing of it. They just saw a bunch of garbage bags in a cart being dragged down the street.
That's just Jerry. He's pushing around his cat. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Sometime soon after, he would head back to the park and dig her remains back up and move them back to his house. He would then, in the middle of the night, dig a hole in the backyard and bury her there. He would then plant a tomato garden on top of that location.
So he wraps up the body. He takes it to the park. He buries. And then he picks back up, takes back to his house, and then buries, and then puts garden on top.
Yes.
Tomato garden.
Yeah.
Beefsteak tomatoes, I imagine.
Probably.
Well, butcher paper, beefsteak, it's fine.
Why not?
And I mean, vegetable gardens usually stay there longer term, so it's probably a smart idea, but...
Yeah, but the whole, I'm going to bury this and then pick it back up. Like, if somebody stops you, it's like, what are you doing? I'm aging the beef. Like, what is your excuse?
Yeah, no doubt.
Obviously, he's not thinking. I
No.
mean, in reality, but for some reason, he thought that this would work out.
Yeah. So now, of course, his wife would be missed, and Camille needed a plan to get away with the murder. And boy, did he play it well. He headed to the police station and would report a domestic violence incident with his wife where she attacked him. He would then state that she fled on a bus to Montreal, Quebec. The police would end up issuing an arrest warrant for her, but she was obviously never seen again. He did report on a few occasions that he had spotted her, though, just to keep up the facade.
She was in the garden.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nuts, isn't it? Like, the fact that he got away with that.
She was staring at me through the vines.
And then I saw her at the park.
Yep. There was a footnote in one article that would state that he would spend some time in prison for molesting a child, and it sounded like it would be before his next marriage in 1992, but it was only in one article I could find it. It makes sense because he had an appetite for young girls, but I have to mention it was only in the one article.
Well, now it got serious.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, because it's been a while since I've been on the scene. But typically, folks that kind of stay in one area of like sexual molestation, unless there is a specific event that creates an increase in violence, usually they stay there. They don't dabble in both. Have you heard of somebody just dabbling in?
I don't know.
I feel like they stay in one lane and they don't veer, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I think he kind of had two different passions, I guess, unfortunately, that were separate.
Yeah, and like people of age and then also murder, I get that, but children and then the murder thing just seems, I mean, impulse is impulse. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm losing my mind.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Someone let us know.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
Yes, JT, you're losing your mind. You're welcome.
Yes. Yep. I can't argue it.
It does sound like the two children did not stay in his custody, but I'm not sure
Thank
if
goodness.
that was because of the jail time or if there was some more sexual assaults of his stepdaughter before she was taken away. It did state, though, that the kids were removed from the home at some point, with it sounding like the kids may have been split up. One of them may have ended up with Camille's brother.
Uh-oh. I don't know if that's any better.
Well, they had nothing to do with him, so...
Oh, well, that's a
Yeah.
lot better than...
That's cool.
Yeah. So having gotten away with Lise Roy's murder, Camille would go back out on the prowl for his next wife. June 1992 would be that fateful day when Camille would find his next victim. Jean Rock would have been around 21 years old when she connected with him. She had a troubled past with her family and also had issues with seizures that made her young life a troubled one. She had likely hoped that Camille would calm her world, but this was not the case, as he was an emotional and physical abuser and overall piece of trash to her.
It's really sad to me because it's just somebody who's looking for someone, for one reason or another, but to kind of fill a gap.
Yeah.
And I know she was young, but she didn't come with children, did she?
No, she didn't.
Okay, good.
That's a good question, though. That is a very good question. Interesting. That
Yeah.
drives me nuts when dudes just take
Yep.
anybody, really, not just one of the. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just when you take advantage of somebody who needs something,
Right.
whether they're looking for it for the right reasons or not, that's a different story. But if you take advantage,
It's
it's
just
messed
all
up.
very predatory. It's
Yeah,
horrible.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So they never got officially married, but they lived together for quite some time as a common law partnership. But she would leave him many times, but always came back as she loved him and hoped he would change his ways, as unfortunately we have all seen happen too many times.
Yep.
Finally, in 2003, she hit a breaking point and told Camille she was done and she done with his shit, and she told him she was leaving him for good. So they decided to take one last walk together in the forest near Fairleigh Park, close to home.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
You literally just like defined the plot of every horror film.
Yeah.
This is not looking good.
Yeah, this was a terrible mistake, unfortunately, as he would use his favorite weapon, a large rock, and bash her in the head.
That's so personal.
Yeah.
It's so up close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once again, he would bury her in a shallow grave. He would have a great alibi once again and get away from the law once again.
Wow, what a coinkydink. 2 wives down.
Yeah. This time he would have an accomplice, though. I have no idea if she actually knew what he was getting into or if she just thought this was a ruse, but Camille would pay this woman $10 to write letters to Gene Rock's family to quote unquote prove she was okay.
Oh, jeez.
This seems so bloody cheap in 2003 and beyond, like $10. Her handwriting just happened to be very similar to Gene's. They would create a story about her leaving Camille and getting together with a truck driver named Pierre. They would have kids together, supposedly, and all. But of course, yeah.
Was Pierre black and with white stripe? And did he smell?
That's Pepe. Pepe
Yeah,
Le
Pepe.
Pew.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's
Yes.
Pepe Le Pew, not Pierre. It's
No.
just Pierre is such a... Like,
Pierre
I don't
was
know.
French-Canadian.
Yeah, it's a very French name.
Oh, it makes sense. It's just like down here, if somebody said that somebody left with Pierre, it's like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Like-
Actually, this is in Ontario, but a lot of these names are very French.
Okay.
Although Ottawa's right on the border of Quebec, so there is a lot of culture both ways.
A truck driver named Pierre. That's where we're at.
Yeah. So, they would supposedly have kids together, but of course, Jean didn't want to be in contact with her family anymore, so she would deliver the letters to Camille so he could personally deliver them.
What a piece of shit.
Come on. So,
Oh, yeah.
fucking red flag. Like, your ex partner that you had a lot of problems with is the only one you're going to communicate with your family through?
It is a Yankee Doodle Dandy red flag.
Yeah, it sure is.
George M. Cohan's like, hey, guys. But, it's very easy to hindsight, and
Oh,
I don't
no,
wanna
definitely.
victim blame in any
No,
way,
not at
shape,
all.
or form,
No, it's just,
obviously.
oh, so many red flags. Now, the area that she was buried in was being redeveloped in 2004, and Camille would absolutely freak out. He would dig up her remains and move them to Fairleigh Park, that's just down the road from the forest they were in, and again bury her in a shallow grave. These fucking shallow graves.
Tomatoes?
No.
Not at the park. He picked
No.
her up again and brought her back home.
Yeah, that was the first one, yeah. No, this one he
Oh.
brought her to the park now. Now, of course, the shallow graves are just so stupid. It wouldn't take long for issues to arise, as in the summer of 2006, animals would find her bones and start digging them up. So once he realized this was happening, he dug her up once again.
Oh my gosh.
This time, he would put all of her bones into a mesh bag full of rocks and transport them in a shopping cart to the close-by bridge over the Rideau Canal. He would unceremoniously toss her remains into the canal.
And he
I'm
probably
so-
did he do it at daylight where people were watching again?
It didn't say, but this guy didn't seem to care.
didn't
Like,
give to-
he just got away with
yeah.
everything, so why would you care, right?
Oh
I'm
my
so confused by
gosh.
the shopping cart.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I don't mean to laugh this much, but it's just so asinine. Like, it's so out of this world
Yep.
ridiculous that he was able to pull this off.
Oh, yeah. For as long as he does. That same October, the canal was drained for some reason, and her bones were found.
Oh.
But because she was never reported missing and DNA tests would never be taken, it would never lead back to her, as there was no report, right?
What year was this again, Mike?
2003.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
if they didn't know that she was technically dead, There would never be need to
Yeah.
investigate to pull DNA from something.
Yeah, so they just...
Therefore, there would be no DNA unless she was arrested at some point.
No, and she wasn't, yeah.
Compare.
But wait a minute. What about the bones? Weren't they trying to find out who belonged to these bones?
They were, yeah, but again, because they...
dental records, something?
well, I don't...
They were transferred like 3 different times. I
That's
don't know
true.
what kind of state
He might
they
have
would
lost
actually
the
Yeah.
jaw somewhere.
I can't remember, yeah. One of the bodies involved here, there was no head found, so I can't remember.
boy.
I think I mentioned it later. So that could
It's
be
under
it.
the swing.
But or that could have been what the dog or the animals were digging up, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like because she was never reported missing, there was never any, search for her DNA or anything that way. So these bones they had no way to find out who they were, and they would not be identified until 2012.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Camille would end up leaving his townhouse and move into a tower in the Ottawa area by 2010. So now he's finally left that unit that he's lived in forever. Camille's unit had a poor view, but his elderly neighbor, Paula Leclair, had a great view from her unit.
Uh-oh.
He was so very jealous of that view that she had. He would ask her on more than one occasion to trade apartments with her. Now, of course, Paula, 64 years old, was in love with her place, and she had no interest in moving. So Camille and Paula seemed to have, good relationship or be on good terms, though, as on May 20th, 2010, he would ask if she wanted to go for a walk with him in Fairleigh Woods area.
No.
So my hindsight 2020 is screaming.
Yeah.
It's just
Absolutely.
Do it. Stay home.
Now he had already gone out into the forest in advance and dug a grave for Paula. So when they went for their walk, he would bring her to the location of the grave. This time he would start the attack a little differently, as he had stolen a knife from the kitchen at the diner where he still worked at as a dishwasher all these years later. He would stab her in the back before picking up a rock and repeatedly beating her in the head with it. So he'd still finish it the same way.
still very personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole stabbing in the back thing is kind of a... Do we know anything about how the first two folks that he killed, was he face to face with them? I'd be interested to know if he was behind them and then knocked them out and then continued on.
It didn't say, but they both seem to be kind of... The first one was during an argument, so I would kind of assume probably face to face. The other one, I'm not sure because they were out for a walk. Same with this one. This was obviously in the back.
Yeah.
That's just coward.
Yeah.
That's what I was going with. I mean, he just seems like he's a piece of shit.
He really is.
Yeah.
Really is a piece of shit.
Yep. So he would bury her right away after taking her house keys. He would waste absolutely no time and head right to her home and start moving her stuff out to the dumpster behind the building.
Wait. He went for a walk with this woman. He killed this woman. He comes back and immediately starts moving her shit.
Yep. I mean, he's gotten away with everything else so far in his life.
That's you know what? Valid. He's gotten away with pushing bodies around in shopping carts. Why not? Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten away with crazy stuff. So why not try something else crazy?
Oh my God.
He would then move his stuff in and start living there right away. Now, Camille had really fucked up, as Paula had a son that she called all of the time, and he was getting worried as she had not called him since the 20th. And it was now May 29th.
He hired a friend for $15 a call.
Yeah. So Andre Leclair would get over to her place right away and use his spare key to open the door. What he would find would blow his mind. None of his mother's stuff was there, and only strangers' belongings were present.
Oh my God.
She moved out.
Yeah. While he was standing in the living room, Camille walked through the door. He would make the excuse that Paula had given him the apartment and would have the absolute gall to ask for the spare key. Of course, Andre would go right to the police. Camille would try an old ploy that worked already once and tell Andre that his mother had won some money and had taken a trip to Disney World and would get back to Canada at some point after being in Florida.
She said, I'm going to Disneyland.
He would even get his forgery friend and try to write letters to the son to explain that she had given Camille the apartment and that she wanted space from her son.
Did he adjust for inflation? So it was like a little bit more that he offered her per letter?
They didn't say this time.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I'm stating the obvious, but wow.
Yeah. Things were not going as planned for Camille, so he headed over to the local Ottawa police to give a statement and clear up any issues with ownership of the rental unit. The interview would go on for 2 hours with one of the officers, and by the end of the interview, he would admit it to killing Paula Leclair. So it didn't go so well for him.
Wait. By the end, he admitted to it.
Yes, by the end.
Wow.
But just the one.
Just the one killing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they now have their man for her murder, but still no one suspects that he is a serial killer. Unfortunately for Camille, the police have a pesky habit of looking into the past of murderers.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. Police would notice that both his wife and his common law wife had disappeared in weird ways in the past, and this sent up some red flags as fast as they could find the information. Yeah, it's like, oh shit, what's going on here? Yeah. The police would lean into Camille, and he would finally admit to murdering both of his wives. On October 31st, 2011, the police had dug up the garden in his former apartment, and they would find most of the remains of his first wife, Lise Roy. Weirdly, her skull had never been recovered, and it is thought that it may still reside in the forest where she first was buried. So there you go. It was his first wife that the skull was missing, not the second.
And so when he transported her, he missed something.
Yeah.
You know, it's fascinating to me that he went to such lengths to basically conspire to get away with this. And with a little bit of we know that he's kind of a coward.
Yeah.
With a little bit of leaning from police, he's just like, yep, I did it.
Yep.
Yeah, he snapped.
I feel like at a certain point he either just straight up snapped or he realized, oh well, if I can't be famous, I'll be infamous.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know, but he just broke. He broke.
Although he only admitted to the first one at first, right? Or his
Right.
last murder. Sorry.
True, but I mean, when presented with evidence, he was just like, "Yep, that was me. Both of those, it was me."
Yeah. Only after this revelation did the remains of Jean Rock that were found years earlier in the Rideau Canal get ID'd.
Thank God for her family.
Yeah, they finally knew she was missing. Go to the family, find the DNA, go check. Boom, it's her, right?
What about the child molestations? Did he ever get busted for those?
It was just that one little mention of him serving some time. So that would sounded like that happened between his two wives.
Okay.
So he would plead guilty to all three murders, luckily, so a long, drawn-out trial was not required. The judge would give him the longest sentence that was available to him in a life sentence with no chance of parole for 25 years. Justice Lynn Ratushny, the judge for the case, would be quoted as saying, he deserved nothing else than to be in custody for the rest of his life, with the families of the victims now being able to rest easy, knowing that their daughter's killer would never be released. So
I'm kind of, and CJ, contradict me if I'm wrong, but I'm really surprised that he just straight up said guilty. Like he just pled guilty.
Yeah.
I guess once you've admitted to the police, it's kind of foregone.
I'm wondering if they suspect him for any other murders.
It was never mentioned, but I mean, he so easily killed these three women.
Yeah, you would think that there were more.
He's obviously got some anger issues.
It seemed like something he liked doing.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed with I guess, would it be Ontario Police?
I'm not sure because there is the OPP, but then some cities have their own police forces, and then some areas of Ottawa have the RCMP. So it's kind of confusing.
Well, I'm impressed with whatever police force it was who did the investigation, who then charged him with 3 murders, because a lot of times down here it's like, if we can get you for 1 murder, you may have done 3, but we'll charge you with 1 just so we get you off the street.
It's true.
So I think it's really impressive that they were like, boom, 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 we're charging you with all 3. Good luck.
Here you go. It's the Ottawa Police Service that got him.
Okay. Well, good on them.
Yeah.
Because that's impressive. That's
Although it's-
impressive work.
It's kind of sad that he got away with that excuse before and everything with the police there, but they got him this time at least.
Luckily, they not only made up for it, but they brought a sense of justice to the families who were missing people. And, hopefully some kind of closure.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, 25 years to life is the longest sentence we give in Canada. So after 25 years, you can start getting parole then. But certain people, if you're considered a dangerous offender or whatever, you'll never get parole, right?
I'm going to assume he's not going to get parole.
Let's hope. I don't want to see him with the shopping cart on the side of the road anywhere.
You beat me to it. You beat me to it.
But I have no doubt that this monster would never have gotten parole, but this never had to be tested. He would die on January 17th, 2021 at the age of 67 out in British Columbia in the city of Abbotsford in the Pacific Institution and Regional Reception Center. His cause of death is listed as natural causes, but who knows? It could have been a rough death due to COVID, and I kind of hope that it was the case, as he was a terrible
We're hoping
human.
it's karma, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the story of this crazy
nuts.
guy who, like, he finally got arrested. Was it 2010? Yeah, 2010.
Yeah, I can't believe it's that current of time. That sounds like an old timey crimey.
Yeah.
It does too, because of just how it's like, it wasn't me, see, it was the other kid. I got away with it, see? Like, that's what it sounds like. But then you were like 2003, and I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That is nuts. That's wild. It says, like, obviously my main source is Wikipedia because I just looked them up.
Yeah.
But it said natural causes.
Yeah, that's what it said. Yeah, so that's why I kind of had to go. Who knows?
Well, COVID's natural, right?
Oh yeah, it's so natural. It just naturally went across the world,
Right?
But his first murder was in 1990, and his last one was in 2010. That we know of. He got away with those so easily that who knows? Maybe he did murder more people. But
there's very few cases where there's such a spread. I mean, you got the Golden State Killer, right? And there's spread there. He took a long break.
Or did he?
Well, that's a good point. See, everything leads us to believe that no, he probably didn't, with all the research that's done.
Well, I guess that's the end of my case. Ay.
It's time for my wild little thing.
All right.
I just spontaneously named it off my beer can.
Perfect.
Wild thing.
I didn't have a name for my case either. But before I start, let me ask you guys this. How many times when reading or listening to a story about a spouse or a lover that's been killed by their partner, have you thought, damn, why didn't they just divorce or break up?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Pretty regular, yeah.
Yep, like all the time, right? Well, there's the obvious reason of money, like to collect on a life insurance policy, I guess. And maybe to, if they shared a house, maybe they get the house and whatever assets, I guess. But is it really all worth it? My case today comes out of Toronto, Canada, and it's kind of old. It's 15 years old.
Okay.
It's a pretty sordid tale. The end reward was thought to be a life insurance policy and the ability to have a relationship with a lover without the baggage of an 11-year prior relationship.
It was Donald Trump.
Hey, were you
Sorry,
reading
Mike.
my notes?
Oh, jeez.
I don't think he's a wild little thing, JT.
Wow.
He might have a wild little thing in his pants, but
Probably not, but he might unfortunately hang out with some.
this case is not about the orange monster because I don't talk about him. Okay,
That's
I
good.
do on my podcast a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because I have to.
I haven't in a while, so it's good we did.
Okay.
Well,
Thanks,
they can blame
JT.
it on me. They can blame it on me.
Oh, no, I don't care.
This case is about 30-year-old Nicola Puddicombe. And she went by Nikki because Nicola's kind of hard to say all the time.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's Nicola or Nicola.
It could be. I've heard Nicola more often, but I don't know this person, so I don't know.
It was
Okay, well,
Nikola Tesla, right?
Yeah, the
I
last
don't know
name's
this
hard.
person either, but I think we're just gonna call this bitch Nikki. Does that work for you guys?
Works
I'm
for
fine with
me.
Nikki. Bring it on.
Well, Nikki and 19-year-old Ashleigh Pechaluk, they worked at a popular chain grocery store in Toronto. It's called Loblaws?
Yeah, Loblaws. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a chain out east. I think it's a chain out east in Ontario and stuff. I think it's moving west now, but it's not a big thing out this way.
Okay, you don't have one where you're at then?
No.
Okay. Well, the two women worked at Loblaws supermarket. Nikki was the manager of the store and Ashleigh worked in the kitchen department. So basically, Nikki was Ashleigh's supervisor. Nikki was more reserved and she had a quieter type personality, which as management served her well. Ashleigh, although she was a part-time employee, she definitely was outgoing. Well, she was 19. She had the spunk.
Yeah.
And, the life is still in her. She didn't have the life blown out of her like the rest of us old people.
Yeah, no, it's amazing just how much energy you have when you're a young person, and then it doesn't take many years for you to just lose all of that.
Just peter out, man.
I'm not even
Listen,
40 yet, and it's like, oh.
I used to be entertained by the Energizer Bunny, and now I'm just pissed off by him.
Yeah.
Well, Ashleigh at the supermarket, she had quite a few friends among the store staff. Her parents split up. Okay, now I'm going to go a little bit into Ashleigh's life. Ashleigh's parents split up when she was little. She ended up just living with her mom and her little sister. So mom was a single mom, and her little sister actually was born deaf. So Ashleigh learned American Sign Language.
That's
Why's
awesome.
it got to be American?
ASL is just the name of the major sign language. And
I was just kidding, Mike.
Yeah, I know. But in the defense of ASL, most of the world, especially in South America, America is North and South America. It's just the U.S. that kind of tried to steal America as the name. So
you know what? You're absolutely right on that.
It is so true. And plus, I mean, Canadian Sign Language. I mean, you could have CSL, but
that would be hard because is it French and English?
Soccer league? That's the Canadian Soccer League, right?
Which?
See, this is why it's American. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there is a Canadian Soccer League below the Major League Soccer. I don't know.
We'll just call it C-Sign.
I don't watch soccer.
C-Sign. I like that. Anyway, Ashleigh learned the sign language to communicate with her sister.
Which is awesome.
She wanted to be a sign language interpreter someday and a support worker for the deaf. Even though Nikki was more introverted, Ashleigh's personality was very inviting, and the two women became fast friends. Nikki, she'd been in a relationship with a man named Dennis Choi for 11 years, but Ashleigh, she was an out and proud lesbian. And since I should have explained before I mentioned what my show is, but my genre is all about LGBTQ plus. I had to gear it towards my genre also.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So
of course.
I'm covering both of us, Mike.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'm excited to hear the rest of this.
Well, good. After Nikki and Ashleigh developed a friendship, they became roommates. And they joined up with a guy named Patrick Knowles. He too became their roommate. I guess it's pretty expensive living in downtown Toronto.
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of the most expensive places in North America to live as well.
Wow. So this kind of made sense for them because it was a lot cheaper for all three to live together in a 3-bedroom apartment than for each to get a studio apartment. I was a little surprised, though, that Nikki didn't live with Dennis since they'd been together for so long. It kind of seemed like, with most people, if you're together for that long, that's the next step. You live together, get married, whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess that from the research that I got, I get the impression Dennis was a little bit controlling, and he kind of liked his freedom also. So that could be why they had their own spaces.
Could be.
36-year-old Dennis worked as a GO Transit special constable. And I think that is someone that keeps the peace on mass transit. Someone that makes sure that the people in the mass transit behave.
Could be, yeah. I was just going to quickly say, I just looked it up. A 1-bedroom apartment in Toronto averages $1,800 per month.
Whoa.
2-bedroom averages $2,300, and a 3-bedroom $2,500. And Vancouver's just a little bit higher, at 1-bedroom at $2,100, 2-bedroom at $2,700, and a 3-bedroom at $3,800. So
that's crazy.
Super expensive cities to live in. Yeah.
Heck
CJ,
yeah.
I don't know about where you are, but where I'm at, a 2-bedroom, like 2-floor apartment is like $1,000.
I'm in a house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's 18.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in a 1,000 square foot condo, and it's more than that.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
wow.
man.
Dennis sounded like he was a pretty big guy. He stood at 6 feet tall, or 1.82 meters. And this seemed like it was likely a really good job for him, because it was kind of like the transit police, especially if he liked to control things.
Mhm.
You know, that's probably a great job for him.
Absolutely.
Police like to do that.
I mean, who doesn't want to be called a constable?
Ooh,
So fancy.
I don't think I do.
No, not anymore, especially.
That's fair.
Yeah.
No arguments from me.
Well, Dennis, he was kind of versatile. He also had ties with the Hells Angels motorcycle club.
So he's a bit of trouble.
He had a hand in law enforcement and the other hand in some questionable dabblings.
That never happens.
No,
Never. Occasionally, we're going to go off Dennis now for a little bit. Occasionally, we're going to go back to the supermarket. Loblaws.
Yeah.
Occasionally, the employees of the Loblaws supermarket chain, they like to do stuff together after work. In June of 2006, Nikki and Ashleigh went on a camping trip with some of the other supermarket employees. It seemed now that the women weren't just working and living together, but now they're doing recreational activities together. One of the nights of the camping trip, things started to get flirty. And then with some drinks and the allure of the stars, a sexual awakening between Nikki and Ashleigh began to happen.
Good for them.
Once the women were back at their apartment, the romance continued. And when Dennis found out there was not hell to pay, he wasn't angry at all.
Huh.
He kind of liked the idea. And then he proposed that they turn the relationship into a threesome.
Cliche engaged.
Yeah, no shit.
Ashleigh, being the good lesbian she is, she was all, no, fuck off. So
You go, girl.
you go, Ashleigh. So for the time being, Dennis and Ashleigh shared Nikki. Dennis would come to the apartment a couple times a week. And when he was there, he would insist on Nikki's total focus. And then Ashleigh and Nikki would be together when Dennis wasn't there. And it seemed to work out for a while. By October 2006, Dennis and Ashleigh started forming some deep-seated resentment toward each other.
I can see that.
Can you? I could too.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not something that's specifically set out in the relationship, it's going to cause resentment, right? Like people that are poly would have no problem with it, but if you're not poly, it's going to be a problem.
You don't want to share.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you pretend you're okay with it at first, just because you think you're going to get some hubba hubba, but you're not. And then you get pissed off.
Yep.
That's just like a case that I'm doing on mine.
Yeah.
Same thing. Guys all hubba hubba. And then he found out he couldn't be part of it. He's all, oh, fuck that. And then he's pissed off.
You have to find 2 bi ladies then. Like, don't try to find a lesbian. It's not going to work.
Right. There you go. Well, it turned out that neither Dennis or Ashleigh wanted to share Nikki. And that's what we figured was going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ashleigh would write in her journal how much she hated Dennis and she wished that he would just drop out of Nikki's life altogether. She'd write how Dennis didn't deserve Nikki. He didn't treat her well. Ashleigh treated her well. She wanted Dennis gone so badly. When he came around, Dennis was basically just an asshole to Ashleigh. And he pulled Nikki away if Ashleigh tried to have a conversation with Nikki. As for Nikki, Well, she was getting lucky and she was busy in everyone's bedroom. But now she started to complain about it. She felt tired. Girl, I can imagine.
Yeah.
That was the best turn. Right? It was so good.
Sorry, that had to be said.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, she was tired of bouncing between Dennis and Ashleigh.
Yeah. And I mean, it probably would be easier if there wasn't all of the tension.
Right.
If she was just having the fun, but none of the tension, I'm sure it wouldn't get old as fast. But when everyone's butting heads.
Right, because I'm sure that they both talked to her about it. Why does he have to come around here so much?
Yeah.
Why can't she just move out of your apartment? Things like that.
Yeah. And I mean, if she's a bi woman, then she's living her best life if everyone's getting along.
Right.
But they're
That's
not.
true. That's true. And everything's happy. But things weren't happy. And Nikki she was just getting tired of it. She told Ashleigh she didn't want to be shared by Ashleigh and Dennis anymore. She told her it was Ashleigh that she wanted to be with. And, putting that into a 19-year-old kid's head, that's just not right.
Yeah.
Because, I think Ashleigh had all this passion and I think it's her first real love. So what's she going to do? She's going to feel very conflicted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nikki kept at Ashleigh and she tried to persuade her to kill Dennis. They'd talk about it. And Ashleigh would somehow dodge the conversation and then Nikki would drop it for a while. But then in a few days, she'd be right back into Ashleigh's ear.
Jeez.
Very manipulative.
It's super manipulative. At the supermarket, young, passionate, but not savvy about the way the world really works, Ashleigh started to tell coworkers her and Nikki were going to kill Dennis. She said she'd kill him and Nikki would call 911. That's what you have in Canada, 911, right?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay. Ashleigh's co-workers took it as Ashleigh fantasizing. They figured it was just her blowing off steam. They didn't take it serious. In the meantime, Dennis was going through some stuff on his own. Somebody slashed his car tires on October 25th, 2006. Dennis felt it might be related to his connections with the Hells Angels. It might be some kind of warning. For now, he just shrugged it off.
There's not a lot of light warnings when you're in organized crime. It's usually a fatal warning or no warning at all.
Or a bashing, maybe?
Yeah. Or a close to fatal. Yeah, interesting.
Well, I don't think he knew what to chalk it up to. So he just,
Yeah.
and I would think if he did something, he would know what he did.
You'd think, yeah.
For a warning, but I don't know. He just kind of just shrugged it off. So the following night was his night over with Nikki. Before he showed up for his time with Nikki told Ashleigh, Ashleigh, tonight's the night. You have to kill Dennis. It has to happen. Ashleigh said, no, I'm not going to do that. And Nikki stormed out of Ashleigh's room in a huff because they did have their own rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Ashleigh was stressed out by what Nikki kept asking her to do. So she did what any normal person would do. She smoked some weed and she fell asleep.
It's a pretty good response, yeah.
Right?
I think that's the best. And notice, nonviolent response.
Yeah.
Right. She woke up to pounding on her bedroom door. Nikki then opened Ashleigh's door and she told her, it's done. Dennis is dead. And she shut the door and she walked back to her own room.
Holy shit.
Poor Ashleigh. She was still in a sleepy fog. She was trying to come to terms with the information Nikki just gave her. She shook herself awake enough to walk down the hall to Nikki's room. She opened the door. There she saw a bloody Dennis laying on Nikki's bed. Nikki was working up the emotions. She figured she was supposed to have these emotions, so she was working them up. And with an Academy Award performance, she called 911 hysterical.
Oh, jeez.
I know, what a bitch. When the police showed up, the investigation didn't show a whole lot. There was no evidence of a break-in that was apparent. And Nikki told the police of Dennis being involved with the Hells Angels. She told him about his tires being slashed the night before, and that Dennis said it might have been a warning of some kind.
Sounds like it was.
Right? I'm coming to kill you, so
Yeah.
I'm going to slash your tires. Later that night, all three of the roommates, Nikki, Ashleigh, and remember the guy that they moved in with, Patrick, they were taken down to the police station for interrogation. Patrick was released after a couple of hours. The police didn't think he had anything to do with Dennis's murder. Ashleigh was kept in the interrogation room for almost 20 hours.
Holy
Nikki,
shit.
she wasn't talking. For Ashleigh's 20 hours, each hour was that of denial in the tiny room with two detectives. She was exhausted, hungry, and thirsty. And Ashleigh finally said, "I did it. She had nothing to do with it. Let her go." Ashleigh was throwing herself in front of a bus to save Nikki, the woman she loved. Now that's dedication, you guys.
Yeah, it is. Ugh.
Ashleigh would go on to serve 10 months in jail while she awaited her trial. During the time Ashleigh was in jail, Nikki, the fucking manipulative hoe she was, hooked up with the third roommate, Patrick. Ashleigh got wind of this news. Come Ashleigh's trial, she no longer was holding on to the dream life she envisioned with Nikki someday. Ashleigh purged everything. She said she lied to police, and she actually felt badgered into a false confession. She said Nikki killed Dennis, and Nikki had been planning it for months.
Yeah. I don't know who wouldn't at that point after like 20 hours. Like, it's not humane. Even if
Right,
someone's
it's
guilty, it's
not.
not humane because it's sleep deprivation, right? Like, even if you're
Right.
not guilty, you're gonna say you're guilty at that point because you're loopy.
You just want to go home.
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty impressed that this happened in Canada and not the United States, to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
I know,
'Cause this really
Canadians are
sounds like
supposed to be nice.
Yeah.
Dude, what's the deal? You put all your hate in the hockey players and the geese. Like, that's it. Like,
I think
sorry,
that
I just insulted your entire country.
not
I'm
at all
so
because
sorry.
Canada is very polite, but it's obviously not very nice.
Polite
because-
is not nice.
No, yes.
Because you can apologize for hitting somebody in the head with an axe.
Yes, and there is a law in Canada that if an apology is not an admission of guilt. Apology Act. Because in the States, if you say sorry, you could be guilty.
Please fuck yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so polite.
But I mean, all you have to do is look at like the residential school system that happened in Canada that ended in the 90s, started over 100 years ago, with thousands of children that were supposedly ran away from the schools that are, they've found hundreds of bodies now that were buried on the grounds of these schools. It's not a nice country. It's a polite country. Systemic racism's everywhere.
Well, back in the courtroom, Ashleigh said that Nikki was bugging her to kill Dennis, but she couldn't do it. Even though she didn't like Dennis, she just couldn't do it. Ashleigh's case was dismissed. But get this, it wasn't because the jury and the judge believed everything Ashleigh was saying now. It was dismissed because the Toronto police fucked up big.
Never.
They never read Ashleigh her Miranda rights, and they never offered her legal counsel.
Jesus Christ.
Right?
That's not just like a minor F up. That's like,
That's huge.
That's like
It's
your
how long you
basic
been
rights.
doing your job, dudes?
like my buddy Rudy and I would be like on the sideline going, fundamentals.
Yeah, no shit.
Fundamentals.
So Nikki ended up getting arrested. And guess what? Nikki was pregnant with Patrick's baby. Apparently, Nikki didn't practice no glove, no love with Patrick.
Guess not. Yeah, jeez.
So this was really turning into a bad soap opera.
Yeah, no shit.
Ashleigh went on to be the star witness in Nikki's trial after her own trial. And now it was Nikki's turn on the hot seat for the murder of her boyfriend, Dennis Hoy. Nikki was accused of delivering at least 6 full-force blows with the blunt end of an axe into Dennis's head.
Holy shit.
Which, incidentally, was the same axe Nikki and Ashleigh had taken on their camping trip to cut wood the weekend they got together.
The blunt end?
The blunt end.
I guess it's
Didn't wanna
easier to
use
clean up.
Yeah, maybe, huh? Really?
Yeah, it'd still be bloody, but less gore.
Yeah, probably.
Awful.
Nikki was found guilty of first-degree premeditated murder. She received a life sentence in prison with no possibility of parole for 25 years. So you don't think she's going to get the parole? Is that what you said? Hard to tell.
With only the one murder, it's hard to tell. She likely will get her chance at parole. Whereas dangerous offenders, if they get that tag, they don't have a chance of parole. She might still have a chance, but likely she won't get it.
Could she pull the whole, he was manipulative, I was just trying to save her, I loved her, I did this for her?
Could try.
She's obviously very convincing.
The designated
Only on the 911 call.
Although, as much as I say, if you get designation of dangerous offender, you can't get parole. At the same time, it was just announced today that Canadian serial rapist Paul Bernardo had his parole denied again today. So he is still getting the possibility of parole currently.
He needs to stay in there.
I seriously thought you were going to say that he just got out. And
Me too.
No, but it was just announced today he got denied again. So, I mean, he, raped and murdered people, and he's still
People
getting
need
his
to hide
chance.
their daughters if that fool gets out.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Yeah.
Right?
Good grief.
Yeah.
Well, Canadian justice doesn't forget.
No.
Nikki did reach out to the Court of Appeal, but guess what? Her appeal was denied. In your face, bitch.
Yes.
I hope the judge did the gladiator. Just
Or to talk to the hand.
Nope.
Yeah.
I have one final note for this case. The LGBTQ plus community were a little bit pissed off about how media handled it.
Never.
Their headlines seemed to shriek the same narrative. Lesbian axe murderer arrested. Lesbian axe murderer on trial. Lesbian axe murderer found guilty. And the problem they had with these headlines is it demonizes a group of people. And that in turn makes the group of people become victims of hate.
Yep.
Those who think lesbians are mean, hateful, and violent, you're right. No, I'm kidding. They're having their thoughts confirmed with these types of headlines.
Yeah.
Besides, Nikki wasn't even really a lesbian. She seemed more polyamorous or bisexual.
Yeah. She
Or
definitely seemed bi.
Maybe, like I said, Nikki was just a hoe.
Yeah. Greedy.
Greedy hoe.
Sexually greedy.
I guess polyamorous axe murderer doesn't have the same appeal in the headlines as lesbian axe murderer.
It just doesn't fit the word limit.
Yeah.
Like the character limit is just too long. The thing that kills me is that like spending 5 or 6 years as a technical writer, right? Like whether you say lesbian axe murderer or just axe murderer, it doesn't matter. It's an axe murderer.
Right.
End of story.
Yeah.
Like that's the focus. There's no reason other than clickbait.
Sex sells, JT.
Like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many times do gay men get classified as like sex offenders and they're going to go after our little boys, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, too
And
often.
When it's really the priests and, it's.
Pedophilia is an illness.
Yeah. And often pedophiles, it's people
Gay
that.
is not an illness.
No. It's often people who identify as straight males that are sexually offending against these boys too, right? So,
Right?
yeah, it always happens.
I'd like to remind everyone it's not a crime to be gay unless you're a murderer.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I love that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly. Like I say that as if I could disagree with that.
No doubt, yeah.
Disagree with.
You can try. You can try to disagree with me, JT.
There's not 1 ounce. You know me. There's not 1 ounce of my heart that could even pretend to make that.
I know
Yeah.
you, sweetheart. I know.
Even if you were in debate club. And you probably were.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
I would flick off the teacher and walk out the class.
he was the master debater, Mike.
Yeah, probably. Well,
Like,
just
set it up,
Yeah.
CJ.
knock it out of the park.
I was thinking it was a slam dunk. So
Yeah,
I'll take
slam
knocking out
dunk.
the park.
Or hockey
your
reference, 5-hole in the goal. Between the legs. It's hockey. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Or football.
I
Touchdown.
Two in the pink, one in the steel.
That's not a sports reference, but we all know it.
I'm feeling my wild little thing.
It's a sport reference if you try hard enough.
It's bowling.
Kind of, yes. 10-pin bowling.
This is great. I hope you leave all of this in, Mike.
If it doesn't stay in the episode, it'll be at the end, so don't worry. Oh my God.
Another episode, I'm crying because I'm laughing too hard.
There is nothing wrong with that in this genre.
Not
It is
at
so
all.
important.
All right. Well, before we close this out, CJ, can you just tell people again what your show is about?
A boot.
A boot, eh?
My show is true crime, and it's based on LGBTQ plus crimes committed by and crimes committed against. And I try to cover lesser known cases, although I do hit some of the well-known ones like Matthew Shepard, Brandon Tina, the Orlando nightclub murders.
Yeah.
But my lesser knowns, I think, are the ones that really hit me hard, especially if I've had any contact with people that have been involved in it, family members or friends.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's I just want to say that both of you, but also CJ, what you do is awesome. And if Mike, if your listeners have never listened to CJ's show, Rainbow Crimes, you need to reach out because her heart and her soul are so awesome. They're so beautiful. And the way that she covers the cases is so amazing. So look it up and download it.
Thank you, JT. That means a lot. It's Beyond the Rainbow, True Crimes of the LGBT.
Yeah.
But if you want to get me on the socials, I am Rainbow Crime.
There we go.
Thank you. My brain was looking right at that name. And no matter what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a compliment.
I took it as one.
It was
Thank
a compliment,
you.
yes. All right. I'll close this out then. So thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes.
Thanks for the laugh and the cry.
My pleasure. If you want to find Brew Crime on the socials, it's at Brew Crime. If you want to send us an email, go to brewcrime@pacificbeerchat.com. You can go to our website to find all of our resources and all that, and our store, brewcrime.com. If you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/brewcrime. And we use the money for Patreon to upgrade equipment, pay for hosting, and make the show better. So shout out to True Crime Nana, 3 Beers In Podcast, Amber, and the Faves of Our Lives.
And leave a 5-star review for Brew Crime.
Yes, please do.
That would be awesome.
Cheers.
Thank you.
All cases found on Brew Crime are written by Mike or the guest that appears on that episode, and the sources are put into the show notes for each episode. We always want to give credit to the people that research the cases we talk about. Check out the store at tpublic.com/stores/brew-crime-podcast, where you can purchase gear like t-shirts, phone cases, stickers, pillows, and all kinds of other cool stuff. Brew Crime's intro was created by Mike using Creative Commons Attribution License audio from purple-planet.com, soundbible.com, and freesoundeffects.com. Logo design by Ben Greenberg. Thanks for listening to this podcast, and it's been a production of Pacific Beer Chat.
Do you love true crime, but are looking for something different?
It sounds like a sitcom.
It does.
The Benders.
The kind of assholes you should probably leave them alone.
Do you like learning about cases so off the wall they can't possibly be true?
Her wig is enormous, but it is lifted off her head by a monkey.
Do you love history, but want to hear about what they didn't teach you in school? It's just got a almost where you hang your horns sign.
Do you like laughing awkwardly about cases that are bizarre and a little strange?
They'd be able to wield so many knives with all of their little arms.
Then we have the podcast for you. Join me, Lindsay,
And me, Madison, for Ye Old Crime.
where we discuss the funny, strange, and obscure crimes of yesteryear.
Listen every Wednesday, wherever you get your podcasts.
And we'll see you next time with another tale
As old as crime.
Hey there, Rainbow Warriors. I'm CJ, host of Beyond the Rainbow, True Crimes of the LGBT. My episodes focus on crimes committed by and against the LGBTQ community. I've covered cases you probably have heard of, such as Matthew Shepard, Brandon Tina, and the Orlando Pulse nightclub massacre, as well as some lesser-known cases like the murder of Ray Hainish, the Australian gay beat murders, and the suspicious disappearance of Lisa Lynn Stone. I cover cases brought to me by listeners like Penny Brummer, who I believe was wrongfully convicted, taboo cases such as lesbian corrective rape and murder in South Africa, and Pray the Gay Away camps. I discuss gay serial killers, women who pretend to be men to hook up with other women, and trans murders. I'm opinionated and uncensored. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but surely I'm someone's shot at tequila. No matter what your gender or orientation in life might be, please join me as I tackle rainbow crimes in search of unicorn justice. Remember, it's not a crime to be gay, unless you're a murderer. I'm CJ.
And your podcast name and a little bit about your podcast for everyone out there.
Okay, that was really lame, so I'm going to do that again.
I'm going to edit this out, but I'm quickly look. Because I'm not sure, but I think so.
I don't know. It's your wife you got to pick up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why is it saying I can't find a way from Ontario, Canada? Oh, because the border's closed. I can't even look it up right now.
Uh-oh. So you're not going to be able to pick her up.
No. The U.S.-Canada border has been closed for like 6 months now. Let's see if it'll work on here. What? Sister did say that the house, or say that he... Oh, shoot. 1 sec.
I only saw a little bit of her, though. I'm sorry. It's like you picked this one for me.
Yeah, no doubt. So... 2000. What year was she? Sorry. Commonwealth. Justice Lynn. I'm just trying to figure out her last name. I never actually tried to say it out loud.
Do you want to spell it? You can send it in the chat if you want.
Ratushny. Ratushny, I think. I'm going to go with it.
Oh. Gesundheit?
Yeah, no doubt. So,
like, I just want to. Oh, hey, that's my child behind me as I talk about this. 1 moment, everybody.
No worries.
I'm sorry.
You're such a cute kid.
Mike and CJ.
Yeah.
Hi.
How are ya?
Are you good?
He can't hear because he doesn't have the headphones on.
All right, give me hugs.
Oh, how come you're not in bed, buddy?
Wait, they're talking to you.
Hey, bud. How's it going?
You good?
How's it going?
How come you're not in bed, sweetheart?
How come you're not in bed?
I love that little laugh.
Hey, Mr. Mike. Yeah? That is fine? Yeah? Okay. I gotta go. Okay? And you gotta go. You gotta go to bed.
Shoot.
Sorry.
No worries.
Surprise!
I saw him pop up around the side. I was like, murder.
Shoot.
At least we weren't talking about the shopping cart or the butcher paper anymore.
No doubt.
I'm sorry, Mike.
No worries. That was funny. All right.
He might have a little.
I'm so sorry. We try to avoid, Mike. I know you try to avoid all that.
Oh no, I don't avoid politics at all.
Okay, good. I couldn't help myself.
Blah 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 blah.
Like
blah blah.
A 2-year-old would say.
Like or a Dracula. Blah blah blah.
Blah blah blah.
That's just a weird name for a supermarket. But
Yeah,
there
it is.
you
Yeah.
are. And there she shops. There she sells by the seashore. Sorry, that wasn't coming out right.
No worries.
I just want to say that when you said the other roommate's name was Patrick, all I could think of was, no, this is Patrick.
Is that Patrick
SpongeBob.
Star?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's all I could think of the whole time.
That's funny.